Hi guys, welcome back to Ferris Tutorials. In today's episode, we're looking at Tourism Unit 2, Module 1, Product Development, and we're continuing with Content 5, which is entitled Customer Service and Service Quality. In the previous episode, we look at how we can use the 4 Ps, or we may say the marketing tool or the marketing mix, to deliver excellent customer service. So if you missed that one, please go ahead and check it out, as this is part 2, which will explore approaches to service and the types of services encountered. Stay tuned. Module 1, Product Development. We're looking at Content 5, which is entitled Customer Service and Service Quality. And in today's episode, we'll be exploring the approaches to service. Now, let's look into details on our focus points. So, we'll be looking at types of services encountered, and also approaches to service, and we'll be exploring freezer, factory, friendly zoo, and also what is quality service. Now, what is quality customer service? Now, what I want you to do is to think back over the past several weeks and identify a situation when you were a customer and you receive excellent service. What was the experience? Think about it. And what did this service provider do to provide you with excellent service? I'll give you 2 seconds to think about it. All right, let's proceed. Now, quality customer service is the ability to consistently meet external and internal customer needs, wants, and expectations involving procedural and personal encounters. And those 2 key terms, procedural and personal, we'll explore them just a bit. Now, let us look at the approaches to service. Based on the diagrams that are on your screen, you can see on one side where we have happy customers jumping up in the air, and on the other hand, you have customers who think that they're angry because they think that the service is awful, or they may have experienced bad customer service. Now, as promised, let us now explore these 2 key terms, and we may term them or classify them as the dimensions of service. Very important for us to understand what they are, so we are better able to have a good understanding of the different approaches to service, right? Now, the first one we're looking at is procedural. As that, which word is procedural coming from? You may be thinking procedures, right? You're very much correct. Now, the procedural side of service consists of established system and procedures to deliver products and or services. So we're speaking of the systems that are put in place, the steps that are put in place, the guidelines, or we may say the procedures that are put in place. These are the ones that are established. It is an established system by an organization or an establishment. Good. Now, as it relates to personal, the personal side of service is how service personnel use their attitudes, their behavior, and verbal skills to interact with customers, right? So on one hand, the 2 dimensions, we're looking at there is procedural, which refers to the procedures that are put in place for a business or an establishment, good, to follow, and also the personal aspect of service, which refers to how the service personnel, so how the individual, right, how the worker, how the front desk worker may check in the guests that are coming to the hotel, how the waiter may serve the meal, or they serving with a smile, how the hostess may welcome a party of 5 for dining, right? So the personal side of service is how service personnel displays what type of attitudes, behaviors, and verbal skills the one that they display when they are interacting with customers. Now guys, let us look at the 4 approaches to service. The 4 approaches to service are the freezer technique. There's also, I wouldn't even call it a technique. Let's leave it at the freezer, all right? There's also the friendly zoo. There's also the factory, and also quality customer service. And based on these description, you in turn is going to tell me which one of these should we strive for within the tourism industry or just as service providers. Good. Now the freezer method, it is low in both personal and procedural service. Remember, we just looked at the 2 dimensions of service, where we looked at the personal aspect and we also look at the procedural aspect. Now with the freezer method, the motto is we don't care. We don't care, because guess what? It is low in personal service. So those attributes, those skills, those empathy, responsiveness that we should be displaying to get customers return to business and also to attract new customers, all of those characteristics. Remember that radar that we looked at? We speak of tangibles, we speak of responsiveness, we speak of empathy, right? Just to name a few. And the procedural, there's no system within place. For example, a coffee shop, a cafe, or we may see an entertainment lounge. When persons come inside, what are the protocols? What are the procedures? Especially very important now that we're in the pandemic. What are the procedures that are needed? Good. Now that is for the freezer method. As it relates to the factory method, let us look at it. It has good in procedural service. That means there are established procedures of what to do. So at day to day, you know, you come, you're supposed to welcome the guests, you're supposed to get them seated, you should ensure that they follow all sanitary protocols. All of that is down to pat. So summing up, with the factory, it is good in procedural service. So established procedures are there for the workers to follow. But it is low in personal service, and their motto is, you're a number. We are here to process you. So they're just following the procedures with no personal service, with our good skills of interacting with these guests, right? So the motto for the factory is, you're a number. So you go, you get your number, or you may not, but they treat you as, okay, you're just another guest, so let us just take you through the ropes, and then that's just it. There's no service with a smile. Good. So as it relates to the friendly zoo, let us look what the friendly zoo entails. So the friendly zoo is bad in procedural service. So there's nothing set, there's no standard, there's no procedures for workers to follow. It's just a free-for-all. But guess what? They are good in personal service. Good. So even there's no procedures or no standards, the workers there are exhibiting or showcasing good personal skills when they're interacting with guests, right? Now the motto for the friendly zoo is, we are trying hard, but don't really know what we're doing. So they're trying hard to make you feel comfortable, to smile, to communicate, to show empathy, to be responsive. But there's no established procedures. There's nothing there to follow. It's like they don't know what they're doing, but they're just overly friendly, right? Now, let us look at the last one. And as you can see, it is highlighted among the others. And this one is quality customer service, right? So quality customer service is excellent both in the personal and procedural dimensions, good, of service. And the motto is, we care and we deliver. And that is what businesses or establishments should strive at achieving. That is quality customer service. Now, let us look at some practical example. Example number one, as you can see, we have procedural service on one side and personal service on the other. Now, drawing A reflects an operation that is low in both personal and procedural service. Now, this freezer approach to service communicates to customers that we don't care, right? So there's no established procedures or there's no form of personal skills when they're interacting with guests. Now, let us look at example number 2. Drawing B represents proficient procedural service. They know what they're doing as it relates to the procedures that is set up by the establishment. It is being followed. But guess what? A weakness in personal dimension. The factory approach to service communicates to customers, you are a number. We are here to process you. Now let us look at example number 3. Drawing C is the friendly zoo approach. It is very personal, as in they're displaying good personal dimensions as it relates to service, right? But they lack procedural consistency. Now, they're trying very hard because they're nice, quote unquote. They're trying to make you feel comfortable, but there's no established procedures or protocols of what they're not knowledgeable. Now, this type of service communicates to customers, we are trying hard, but we don't really know what we're doing, right? Now, the final one that we're looking at is the most ideal one. And if you can notice from the drawing, it represents quality customer service. And why it is that do you think this drawing represents quality customer service? If your response was it is strong in both personal and procedural dimensions, you are indeed correct. Now, it communicates to members, we care and we deliver. Awesome. Now we're at our checkpoint. Based on what we've just discussed, you should be able to differentiate the different approaches to service. And you notice we have 12 marks there. So we looked at 4 approaches. So guess what? How many marks are we working for each? So we're working for 3 marks each. So just identifying the approach alone is 1 mark each. And then based on how you describe them, based on your understanding, then you would have received the additional marks. All right? You're awesome. You've made it to the end of the video. But guess what? Stay tuned for episode 3, where we'll explore steps in offering fantastic customer service. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and also share. Thank you for making it Fairy's Tutorials.